This was the sequence of the videos I have made in Pawn and Games, and actually, this is the part 5 of that Pawn and Game series. And this is now from here for advanced players, the for advanced players, the Pawn and Game start. Now let's continue with our position. This was a game played between two grandmasters in European Championship in Debrecen, with white a Galliamova was playing and with black Gorilli was playing. And I want you people to pause the video and think that it is black's to move and win, and how he would continue with his plan. I hope that you have understood that, as I discussed previous in my videos, that a tempo move counts in the end game. Even a simple tempo move can count you the opponent side the game. And here, black has two tempo moves. One is e5, and the second one is h5. And he is going to utilize these tempo moves and going to outflank his king, opponent king, which is white, from over here or over here, and coming to here and going to pick up the coming to over here and pick up the pawns. So in the game, the move which was played was also a brilliant one, and there are actually two moves which leads to win for black. One move is h5, the first tempo. As you are saying that I am going to not let you have a tempo move like g4 in the game. Might be, sorry, like g4. So king has to move, and king moves to e2. After that, now e5. Black has utilized both of his tempo moves, and the position arises again. But the problem is that black has one more tempo, and after the move, now here this one e3 check, and after f into e3, king e4. Sorry, now king e2, and basically this is a draw. The best continuation is to go over here, king to c4. After king c2, now using another tempo move to outflank this king over here. It has to move to the security of this pawn on e3. So king d2 and now king b3. Now the black is going to outflank his opponent like this way. King has to move, and it moves to e1. Now king c3, coming for this square to take this pawn on e3. And after king e2, now king c2. White has to weaken the security of this pawn. He has to move. So he goes back once again, king e1, now king d3, now king f2, and now king d2. And this pawn is going to fall, and white is also going to lose the game. The move played in the game was also the brilliant one. There are two choices in this position. When I have discussed the h5 choice with you people. Now I'm going to discuss the move which was played in the game, and that was immediate e3 check. After f into e3, now king e4. Now black is going to use his both tempo moves. White tries to counter the first tempo move, and that is h5. But still he loses because now king f3. After king d3, now e5, taking away this square from the king to move forward. White tries to control it by the move e4, and now king into g4. As white has to come from over here to take this pawn, but in that time period, black is going to queen his pawn. For example, he tries over here desperately king c4, then h5, king d5, and now king f4, protecting this pawn. And you remember the rule I told you that if there is no pawn, this pawn on the board, in this is a pre-butchered situation, and whoever moves in this position is going to lose. But because white has this extra tempo, he's going to win because the king has to move, and king, for example, moves over here, and now king can take this pawn also, black side. So I think you people have understood the importance of the tempo moves and utilizing them in the game and winning the positions. Sorry. So we continue to our next position. And sorry, this is the position of the game. Here, white made a blunder and lost the game. This was actually a draw. I want you people to pause and think that how white can draw. Just remember the square rule method and also keeping in view your p4 pawn. White played the move in the game that was king b3. Now white is losing because after king b5, king c3 and e3. White has to come over here to capture this, and king into b4, king into e3, and now simple king c3, and he is going to outflank his opponent white by moving this like this and going to take this pawn, or by moving like this and going to take this pawn, and white can't do anything about it. The best defense in this position, I told you people to remember the square rule. Black's pawn is queening in 3 moves, and it is decided on the fourth rank. Total, it is 1, 2, 3, 4. Now 4, now 4. If the king stays in this square, white king, then he can capture this pawn anytime, anytime. And he can use this pawn, b5, b pawn, b4 pawn as a decoy that if you will move black, his king somewhere, try to move it from here or here or here, then this pawn is going to queen. That's why this position is a draw. Here the move was p5 actually, because after that king c7 and king b4. Now king is going to rotate from on b4, c4, b4 like this, and black can't make a progress. Black can't try to go for it like this. King b6, king c4, king to c7, king b4. Let's see what happens if black tries the move, for example, e3. Then now king c3, king b6, king d3, king into b5, and king into e3. Now let's understand that is it possible that white can take the opposition? by playing the move like king c4? No, because we are going to get the opposition. And we are going to keep this black king over here or whether on this here. Whether on c5 or whether we are going to keep the king on the h fourth rank. For example, if king tries, king e2 is the best move. Sorry, king e2 is the best move. If black goes for example over here, just take the opposition. Let's see that what happens if we play the move king d2. It is still a draw. The reason behind is that you are controlling this c file and you are going to control this fourth rank. And this black king can't is unable to come to this position and capture this pawn. King moves to d4, you moves to e2, king to e4, now king f2, and this black can't get over here. So I hope you have understood that even in lost positions, there is one tricky move that you can draw if you know the basic end games or the end games. You can apply the basic end game methods at any time of the game, at any course of the end game, and then you can utilize them and win or draw the game. So we move to our next example, and this game was played between uh, GM's Pritchett. I don't think that I am pronouncing the names correctly, but it is. I think these are the names like it. And the second name is Eskagan. Eskagan is black and C. Pritchett is white. This game happened in World Student Team Championship YWBS. This was the location name. So here it is the blacks to move and win the game. And I want the people to pause the video and think that what is the best black move that how he can win this game. As white has this pass pawn, this pawn is blocked, but this has a pass pawn white, and white king is near this pawn on e7, and black is near this pawn on b7 or b2. Kindly pause the video and think. I hope you have understood. Instead of immediately going for this pawn, if you immediately go for this pawn, then this pawn is going to fall. These three of the pawns are going to fall. So the first move is, why don't you think that you move this pawn to e5, but white king would be unable to control it, or he is unable to bother it. So the move over here is immediately going for the opposition and taking control of the square from where white king can enter. This pawn it can be captured at any time. And this was the move which was played in the game. After that, king d7, for example, and e5. If instead of king d7, white tries desperate by playing the move b3 check, then king into b3. Now what is the difference? King has taken control of this square, white king, and he is near these pawns. Now, how to win this game? The point is that now you are on the same rank of this pawn on g3, and you are going to move this way and going to pick this pawn and white king would be late to come and pick both of these pawns. Let's check it out. King c3, king e6, king d3, king into e7. And instead of going immediately towards this pawn, we are going to counter the white king first. Remember, distinct opposition. So, king e4, king f6. Now, king e3. Sorry, king d4. I made a mistake over here. It was better to go from over here. To control this pawn, to secure this pawn, these two pawns are going to fall. To secure this pawn. So, king d4 over. And after king into e7, now king e5. Now you have get the opposition and you are going to win this pawn. And if it is played like this, it is still a draw. Then how to play it? After king f5, king g7. Now the move is h4. The trickiest move. Because after g into h4, you are going to play the move h5. And if white tries to counter it, then you play the move king g4. King goes here, king into pawn. See, remember there are many tricks in the end game, and you have to calculate thoroughly. Follow them. Let's come back to our position. The first thing is that you're going to first counter the king over here, white king over here. So you play the move king c4. And after that, if you tries desperately by playing the move b3 check over here, and you take the pawn, then when the king is over here, then you are going to counter him, taking the opposition like this way, not this way. This is wrong. You are going to take the opposition like this. And remember, when you have reached over here, utilize the tempo moves. Always remember to utilize the tempo moves. So I hope you have understood this position also. Let's continue with our next example. And here white has one pawn, and it is black's turn to move, play, and win. This game was played between GM Clegg versus GMK learner Talin. Please pause the video and think that how you can win this game. I hope you have understood that if you immediately go for this pawn, sorry, like this, then white is sharp enough to come take this pawn and come over here. Let's see that out. What happens if we play wrongly and we play the move king e4? Now king e7, king d3, king d6. He is not going for this pawn which you thought. He is coming for this pawn. And then he is going to attack this pawn and capture it, and it would be a draw. So for example, king c2 now and king c5, and this pawn is going to fall. And this pawn on b7 is also going to fall. So let's go back to our position. The move in this position is that we are going to immediately counter the black king, sorry, white king, by playing the move king e6. Because after king e8, we are going to move the king d6. After king f7, because for example, if he goes over here, nothing happens. Because after king c6, these both of the pawns are scared. And black is going to play this, sorry, black is going to play this move. After he is going to exchange over here and going to take this pawn. Let me show you on the board. For example, king makes a this move like this, king to c1. Or so, for example, he tries to come over here, then the move is b5. He tries to come over here, sorry, he tries to come over here. Now you counter it by playing the move king c5. King still tries to counter it by playing king e5, and now the move is b3. Because after a into b3, then king b4. If white still tries to counter by playing the move king d4, you just capture the pawn. And there is no way that white is going to stop this pawn. So I hope you have understood the idea. In these types of position, just remember the square rule. And black is far away to go and capture this pawn. And white is in the square. He can capture both of these pawns by coming over here. So the method was you are going to first block him, going to block the white king. I hope you have understood also this concept of this position. Let's continue to our next chapter, and it is in also in the sequence of the last chapters which we are being discussing. And I want you people to pause the video and think that how to utilize the knowledge which I have already discussed in the previous examples and utilize here to win the game. The move over here is that we are going to immediately counter this king. We're going to take the opposition immediately. And the move is king d4. Because if black tries to, for example, come over here like this, then you play the move immediately f4. If he comes over here, then you can play the move f5. If he comes over here, then this move, king d4, king b6, king d3, king b7, king d7. And there is no way that white can stop, black can stop white from capturing this pawn and queening this. So remember the idea. If you immediately go for example, like f4, the problem is that black is fast enough to hit this pawn on the back. Let me show you on the board. After king c3 and white tries f5, then king d4, and when king f6, king e4. If white tries this move f5, now king f4. Now if you capture this pawn on f7, black is going to capture the pawn on f4, f5, and it would be a draw. So remember, we have to first oppose the king. Remember, in these types of situations, we are going to oppose the king first and keep it away. First rule, keep the opponent king away. And to do that, you are going to get the opposition. So the best move over here for the white pass, king d4, getting the opposition. Okay, let's continue to our next chapter. I think I have already discussed this in the previous video, but I don't remember correctly. It is white to move and draw. And I'm going to people going give you people a hint that white is going to use the triangulation and force opposition. White is going to use triangulation method to get forced opposition. Remember, in these types of positions, the main point for white is that he is going to cover this h3 square first. And why black would try to come over here and capture this pawn. And for white, and white is going to force the black to play his moves f4, f6, and f7. And in many cases, if black plays the move f7, this king, white king, would be tucked over away over here on h1, and it will be at stalemate. I hope you have gotten the move. This game was also between two grandmasters. I don't remember their names. And here, the white played the move king e2, and this is a draw. The reason behind is that because after king f4, now king f2, taking the opposition, and black can't make any type of progress. For example, he goes for h5, still king e2. Because this square is covered, g3 square, and you are in also the previous videos I discussed different types of examples in where you keep your h2 pawn still on that initial location till the end of the game to keep this square e3 covered from the opponent side. So if king tries to move like this, king g5, g4, sorry, king f2, he plays the move f4. You directly opposes him by playing the move king g2. He plays the move f3 check, and now king f1, h1. If king h1 is played, this is a lose. White loses. The reason behind is that now black has the opportunity to come from over here. So instead of king h1 here, you're going to immediately counter by playing the move king f1. And if now black tries to come over here and take this path, then you play the move king f2. Because after king h2, king into f3, and kings, for example, comes over here. If kings comes over here, black white can go this way and win this pawn. So he plays the move h4, and you have uh, caged the king in this diagonal by taking the side opposition, because wherever the king will move, you are going to take the opposition. King h3, king f3, king h2, king f2, king h1, king f1. If he plays the move h3, king f2, h2, this is a draw. So we're going back to our main position. Remember the rule. Black is going to try and come and win this pawn, and you are going to allow him. On which condition you are going to allow him? The condition is that when black has played this move, f4, f3, then you are going to allow him to take the pawn on h2, because you can then take the side opposition and draw this game. And as this pawn is on h file, and you remember the rule that by tucking the king in the h corner, it is a draw. So this was the end of today's video. I hope you enjoyed it. Kindly subscribe and hit the bell icon button. Thank you very much.